Hi, today we'll be looking at the absorption costing technique. What is the absorption costing technique? This is a technique used in costing to ascertain the cost of a unit of a product or service, where the total production cost is used in the valuation of inventory. Unlike the marginal costing technique, where we only use the variable production cost to value our inventory, in the absorption costing technique, we determine the entire product cost, meaning that what we have is summation of the variable cost and the variable production cost and the fixed production cost as well. So we use that to value inventory, and all non-production costs are charged as a period cost. Taking a look at the example we have on your screen, Zelia makes and sells a single product called Pinto. The cost per unit for Pinto is as follows. We have direct material, direct labor, variable production overhead, fixed production overheads. Everything sums up to the standard product cost of 21.9. We also have the fixed production overhead actually incurred in the month to amount to $75,000. Selling and distribution expenses are the fixed, 12,500 per month, variable 5 for every unit sold. The selling price per unit is $35, and the number of units produced and sold were production 10,000 units, sales 8,500 units. Prepare the absorption costing statement of profit or loss for the month. So, like I explained in the marginal costing technique video, that once you're about to prepare a statement once you're about to prepare the profit or loss statement, the first thing we'll have to do is to determine the product cost. So how much are we going to value inventory? Remember, I said earlier that in absorption costing technique, we use the entire production cost. Luckily, this has been given in the question. So our total product cost is 21.9. So no need to compute that again. The second thing we have to do is to determine what our closing inventory is. The closing inventory, if not given, would then be, I'll compare with my opening inventory first. Opening inventory. In the question, it is 0, not given, so we assume 0. So how many units were produced in the period? So production happens to be 10,000. 10,000. The addition of the opening inventory plus the production will give me what is available inventory for sales. So that's just 0 plus 10,000. Obviously, that was to give me 10,000. All right, like that. So how many units were sold in the period? Our sales for the period happens to be 8,500. So if I compare that with what is available for sales, with the units available for sales, we have 10,000 less 8,500. 10,000 less 8. Yes, that will be equals to 10,000 less 8,500. So we have 1,500. So that is what is left, and what is left happens to be our closing inventory. So the next thing we'll do, ordinarily, if this was to be the marginal costing technique, the next thing to do is to jump in straight into the profit statement. But we will still have to check one more thing. That's the case of over or under absorption. So we'll have to check if we have over or under absorption, as that would have an influence on our profit eventually. So what do? This we had earlier explained this in earlier video. We'll compare the actual overheads with the absorbed overheads. So the actual production overhead from the question we're told is 75,000. Actual, just put this actual production overheads happens to be, and we have the absorbed production overhead. The actual production overhead happens to be that, and the absorbed happens to be, so we just have the overhead absorption rate. The rate of absorption happens to be 6 multiplied by the actual number of units that was produced. We have that. So remember, we are operating in dollars. So if I compare 75,000 with 60,000, I have a difference of 15,000. I ask the question, is this a case of over or under absorption? If I have an actual overhead of 75 and what I've only absorbed into my system is actually 60, that means we have under absorbed overhead. So this is a case of an under absorption. It's of an under absorption. Now that we have all the details required, we can simply dive into the profit statement itself. So I'll write Z here. What are we trying to do? We're trying to prepare a profit or loss statement for the month using absorption costing. That's what we're trying to do in our denomination. Right, the first item we have on the statement will always be the sales. So how many units were sold? 8,500 units were sold. At what rate? That was sold at $35 each. The sales figure will be 35 by 8,500. So we have it as 297,500. The next item on the statement is the opening inventory. Yes, I'm well aware that we don't have opening inventory, but we should have any in a question. Just multiply the quantity by the product cost. Remember, this absorption costing, we are using the entire production cost, and that's 21.9. This is 0 in this instance. So we move on to the next item, and that's production. So what is the value of units produced? 10,000 units were produced, and we are valuing at the rate of 21.9. So we have this to be 10,000 multiplied by 21.9. That is 219,000. So I add the two costs together, 0 plus 219,000. So the next thing we have on the statement is the closing inventory. Valuation of the closing inventory. We had earlier computed our closing inventory to be 1,500, and we will be valuing at the same cost of 21.9. So that will be 1,500 multiplied by 21.9. You can simply put that in a negative amount to show it in proper perspective. All right, there we have it. So I deduct from 219 32,850. So we have 18615 there. This ordinarily would have been my cost of sales, but remember, we have a case of an under absorption. Our cost has been under absorbed. So we have to bring in that on the charge to add more to our cost. Sorry, this is under, not on absorption. Apologies, under absorption. All right. So that has to we have to bring it in as an additional cost, since we have understated our cost, and that will simply be the addition of 186,150 plus the 15,000. So I can call this my cost of sales. So I can put my cost of sales as a negative sign as well, because I will be deducting that amount from the sales revenue. All right. So take away the cost of sales from my from the revenue. There will come back the gross profit. So our gross profit is 96,350. Thereafter that, then we bring in the non-production cost. All production costs have been used in valuation. Then the non-production cost will be charged as a period cost. The first one we have, remember in the question we have just two of it. So the first one we have is the fixed selling and distribution expenses. That is 12,500. I put that in negative since we will be deducting it from the gross profit. Fixed So the next other one we have is the variable selling and distribution expenses, and that we are told is $5 for every unit sold. How many units were sold? 8,500, all at the rate of 5 per unit. So that will be 8,500 multiplied by 5. I can easily put that in negative as well, so as to show that it's going to be a deduction. So then have to take away the non-production cost from the gross profit, come by our net profit. So here we have our net profit to be 41,350. So that is the profit statement using an absorption costing technique. I hope this is very useful. Thank you. Please turn on your notification to watch more of our videos.